Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Michael Knipp, and we are here to do our December wrap-up. Now, last month, in my November wrap-up, I read like 13 books, and that was insane, and people even said, hey, that's a lot of books, how did you do that? And the answer is, I have no idea. I feel like this month is a lot more indicative of a realistic reading month for me. I got 5 books done. My Goodreads reading goals for 2020 are basically going to be along this line. I'm going to try for 60 books a year, and we'll see how that goes. We can adjust that as necessary if we need to. So we'll start at the bottom and go up the way we end on the most positive note we can. The first book I'm going to talk about that I read in December is Children of Virtue and Vengeance, which unfortunately just really wasn't good. I very, very much disliked it, and I posted a rant review of it that you can check out if you want to. If you liked that book, I'm glad for you, but I was thoroughly incapable of doing so, and I was so disappointed. I would put that as one of my biggest disappointments now that I've been reading again. There's been a decent number of people asking me to do a spoiler review of that book specifically, so I'm probably going to do that early next year. So a book that I read that was kind of okay, I gave it 3 stars, was a book called Spear of the Emperor, which was a Warhammer 40k book. Warhammer 40k is a series that looks awesome to me, but it's something that I've never... Warhammer 40k, all of that stuff seems awesome to me. I spent a lot of time around game shops and seen people playing war games, and I've seen lots of video games based on the Warhammer franchise, and I was curious. This was my first jump into that sort of lore, though, so part of the problem that I think maybe I had with the book was that I was just really over my head with a lot of the things that were going on. I was able to figure it out. The context clues and such were enough that I was able to enjoy this book. Like I said, I gave it a 3-star, which for me is a positive review, but it didn't necessarily blow me away. And maybe that's just because I was so overwhelmed with everything that was going on as far as new terminology and just a completely different... There's magic and there's also technology in just a way that I never really experienced because of the Warhammer lore, and maybe the book kind of was coming at it from an angle, assuming that you knew something about the series up to that point. Now we're in a 4-star territory. Another book that I read this month, I got from my library, was Daisy Jones and the Six. Actually, I made a video for it because I thought it was one of the best books that I read in 2019 from 2019. It focuses heavily on extremely flawed characters and the emotions that go into making music and the way that music carries such immense power. And I made that video. I'm going to link that video up there so you can watch it. I go into more depth there. Now, a book that wasn't on my TBR was Inheritance by Christopher Paolini. I read the first Aragon book when I was in high school. And then when the second book came out, I feel like I read it around the same time. I'm trying to go over this with my friend. Basically, my friend read it, was obsessed with it, said, you need to read this. I did. It was awesome. He also let me borrow his copy of Eldest. Some years later, when Brazinger came out, he also let me borrow his copy of Brazinger like a week after it came out. He basically got the book on launch day. He pre-ordered it, got it on launch day, read through it in like 2 or 3 days, and then let me borrow it the same week it came out. It was awesome. But then there was a huge gap, if I remember correctly, between Brazinger and Inheritance, and I never got to it. It came out, I believe, 2011, which was the year I got married, and also kind of the same time, like I stopped reading completely by then, so I never finished the cycle. I really did like this story growing up, and so I kind of always planned to go back to it, but I never did. And earlier this year, before I fully got out of my reading slump, I realized that I could get stuff through the Libby app with my local library, and I picked up Inheritance because it was available there, and I got about halfway through the book. Didn't really run into any full stop hiccups. I didn't finish it in time before I had to return it. So I got halfway through it, returned the book, and then never thought about it that much because I still wasn't fully out of my 10-year-long reading slump. Lo and behold, what happens to me in July happens, and I start reading like crazy, and I was already having a fantasy-themed December TBR, and so I realized that book was available again from my library, and I picked it up and said, I'm going to finish this. I need to finish this. This is like part of my childhood that has not been fully closed off. Let's do it. And I finished that book, and I loved the way it ended. Like, it wasn't the best ending I've probably ever seen, but I really liked it and it made me feel things. And then as soon as I put the book down, I called my friend who let me borrow all those books in the past. We're still close, and was just like, dude, this is here. Let's talk about this. Let's have this discussion the way that I used to back when I was younger. It was awesome. And I'm glad to have that chapter closed. And now I feel like I can recommend that series better knowing how it ends, because I've tried to tell people about it before with the caveat, I really don't know how it ends, but now I do, and it's good, and I like it, and now I have more excitement for Christopher Paolini's sci-fi book that he announced that's supposed to be coming out, I believe, next year. I think it's To Sleep in a Bed of Stars or something. Just a really special title. Additionally, now I have a little bit of curiosity for, I think he released like some short stories in the same world as the Aragon, or the Inheritance trilogy cycle. It's 4 books, sorry. And finally, we get to The Lies of Locke Lamora, which is a series that so many people on BookTube, at least the ones that I follow, are talking about all the time, constantly, because they're trying to constantly get people to read this book. I've heard people say that it's like one of the best sleeper fantasies that exist, because it is popular in certain circles, but it's not as popular as it probably should be, is what I've heard. And I don't know that, but I know that I loved it, and it was so good. And The Lies of Locke Lamora, I made a video for it where I was just kind of gushing. I don't know if it's my best review, because I feel like I was just too happy and didn't know what I was saying. I loved it. If I had to recommend it to anyone, I would say it is a fantasy Fast and Furious with the humor of Pirates of the Caribbean, but a little more grown up and darker. The Lies of Locke Lamora ends up being one of the few 5-star ratings that I gave out this year. I don't really give out 5-star ratings all that often. If you actually look back at all of the videos that I said were the best of 2019 books, with the exception of the Solar War trilogy, those are all 4-star books for me. I absolutely loved them, but I didn't feel compelled to give them a 5-star. Lies of Locke Lamora, finished it, immediately gave it a 5-star. Love that book. Looking forward to the sequels in 2020. So that's my December wrap-up. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you could give this video a like, maybe comment down below what you thought of any of these books, if you read any of them. And if you aren't subscribed to this channel, but you would like to see more of my videos, I would love it if you subscribed and became part of this community that I am having on this channel, and it's so awesome and amazing. Since this is one of my last videos that's going to be coming out in 2019, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been watching my videos and commenting and who subscribe to the channel. I'm so thankful to be on BookTube. It's so much fun. 2020 is going to be just a blast to be able to spend a full year on BookTube with all of the readathons and challenges and trends that come along, all the new 2020 books. I am excited for what the year will offer. I hope to see you again soon. Have a nice day.
I must confess that my loneliness is killing me now. Don't you know I still believe that you will be here and give me a sign.